So in this series of films, we're looking at just using one prop within boudoir photography, and without doubt, especially when you're getting started, I think introducing a net of some kind into the posing flow will really make a difference for you. The reason being is that it's going to add a lot of elements. We'll cover these a little bit more in a few minutes. But realistically, for me, it really softens the body and it allows me to kind of shape and hide the body as well. You know, when we're photographing with a model, it tends to be a little bit easier, but of course depends on the shape of the model that you're booking. You'll need to actually kind of help gravity to actually disguise the body parts, because obviously as soon as you lay a subject down, gravity is going to be compressed. As soon as you sit a subject down, the gravity is going to be compressing the body, and so on with it. So it's really a good use to kind of body soften, especially when we're introducing posing, and that will kind of follow through to real clients. We'll cover those things now in a minute. So this is Tia. We were shooting a quick shoot. She hadn't done boudoir photography before we did this in our legacy series of boudoir photography on the Academy. And again, for me, using it to disguise body, to kind of go the implied, is obviously the easiest thing for us to kind of use and discuss it with. But it also kind of gives a little bit of a body kind of confidence element as well, that the client can get a little bit more sexy with it, kind of removing the bra or even keeping on the bra. You know, we use the net in quite a lot of other things besides for boudoir photography. Maternity would be a classic example as well, where you're actually using some netting of some kind to actually really kind of change the images. But again, it allows you to pretty much stagnate one hand, because one hand is going to be the controlling hand of the cloth, and then obviously you can use the other hand as the kind of the poser and the expression, bring that little bit of storytelling into it. If you're going to incorporate fuller length and three-quarter length, especially if you're incorporating legs into your boudoir shoot, then netting is a good way to kind of elongate the body, as well as to actually help the body kind of titillate just that little bit more, so you kind of start to reveal the leg from behind the cloth. And even though Tia only works to implied, I still think these images look great with her kind of lingerie still on and things. So as far as the kind of the revealing parts of the body, as the kind of the show hand, that's the hand that's kind of really controlling either the emotion of the pose or how the netting is interacting with the body. When you kind of use that show hand to actually start to reveal the body more and more, it starts to actually take on that little bit more energy, a little bit more kind of sexiness, as I said, as well, without kind of having to really work hard at it and things, really. And as far as the kind of the flow is concerned, you can basically go from kind of a full reveal to a full hide using the netting, as we just saw in those two photographs, and then obviously kind of just twisting the body, moving the net a little bit to kind of naturally flop and kind of disguise different parts of the body as well. And one of the great things about netting, of course, is that once the client has built their confidence up more, especially if they do want to go implied, it's quickly to kind of twist their shoulders away from us. In other words, turn their back to us, kind of lose the netting down onto the bed and just kind of cover over the bust and everything else with it and things, really. The net is really good as well when we're kind of doing the roll-in poses, laying on the back or laying on the stomach. When we're laying on the stomach, it's great because it'll disguise gravity as far as the belly's concerned and so on. When they're laying on their back, it allows them to actually hide the bust with confidence and kind of knowing it's being covered as well with it and things, really. But for me, adds good texture and depth. Remember, you can even shoot through the actual material as well. You can even hold it in front of the camera and photograph through like you're photographing through drapes. I definitely believe that adding netting into a shoot will kind of add that little bit of intrigue and add that little bit more kind of mystery as far as the body. I often find that, you know, less is more, so less of the body that you can see, the kind of the more titillating it is, more intrigue it is, and it naturally brings that kind of element in, that 50 shades in modern day terms, I suppose. I mentioned already, it really helps to soften the body, especially with gravity and posing that we kind of do to all these clients, where we're kind of getting them into quite awkward positions at times to exaggerate kind of leg length and body length and arms and so on with it. So we can use the netting to disguise things like tummy and bust and groin. It definitely will help you to enhance a shape, without doubt. It doesn't matter what type of client you've got in front of you. Basically, by able to kind of bring the netting from between the legs and up towards the bust, that's a natural disguise of the whole body. And so you're basically going to be able to then actually kind of slightly scrunch it together to kind of minimize the netting a little bit more. Or you can basically kind of completely lose it with the one hand and cover over with the other hand as well. You see that in loads of films that I've created on the Academy as well. I like to use it. You might have seen the kind of the vintage Parisian kind of set that I built in studio, just with a kind of a movable wall, a big soft box, loads of net in, a kind of a blow-up mattress. You know, it's amazing what you can create in a theme, and the netting really does come over well. So in this film, we're talking about the netting being used as the likes of the prop to disguise and enhance the body, whereas in fact I use a lot of netting to soften down the whole scene and set and the bed. If I've only got a white duvet cover or a sheet, and the client has got all black lingerie, simple black netting applied over the top will pretty much change the mood straight away from a kind of a contrasting lingerie to bed clothing to kind of almost into the same tonality and things really. So that helps the kind of the image hang together better. Netting, it's so cheap. Netting, you can pretty much go down to a material shop, not one of the high street stores, but these specialist materials stores, and buy it by the meter. And pretty much, you know, you'll go there with 30 quid, $30 to spend, you'll come away with change, and you can get a whole host of kind of colours. The pink one that we just saw with Tia, in fact, it's one of my kind of lucky finds. One day in the off-cut bin, there was kind of 3 meters of this netting. And I went, wow, I can see how that's going to shimmer with light and so on with it. So that was really good. If you're a kind of a photographer who's kind of move into clients' homes or boudoir in hotel suites and so on with it, it's easy to transport. Just kind of bundle it all together in a cloth bag, and it's easy to transport. We usually carry loads of white net in no matter what. And then we have a coloured bag, which will be the likes of black, pinks, and kind of we've got an off-white as well and things, which you don't use as much in fact. Layering, I mentioned already, you can kind of scrunch together and shoot through, but you can also add the different layers. I do have a gold netting as well, which is magnificent when you kind of put it all together. But I've got gold sheets and gold netting that really work well together. And that with black lingerie is just $1 million. You might have seen Kelsey, in fact, one of our models that we've shot with, in that same kind of look and feel, and it looks amazing. And I would say that a bit of netting is a good artistic break for you. So if you're trying to actually change your boudoir photography a little bit, then just by adding in the likes of a bit of netting into the shoot will give you a breathing space and something else to play around with. And it definitely gets a client to get a little bit more daring as well. So without doubt, invest into some netting, probably the cheapest thing in the world of photography you'll ever invest into. But it's well worth playing around with in boudoir photography, especially when you're getting going.